present. We merge into the very essence of oneness. Continue to allow our eyes to be open, and we may continue to see and move and continue to live and have our being in this place. Not this physical place, but in the realm of the spirit. And also allow us to have the ability to function and see others the way you see them, whole, complete. Let the light of your presence continue to shine through us. That will give direction, first of all, to us as an individual and to those that we come in contact with. We don't have all the answers, but as we stand in your light, that which is hidden will be revealed. Thank you that we are in a revealing season, or a revealing time, a divine awakening time, where light has come into the earth like never before. And the things that are being exposed, it's only being exposed because of the light. But those things has been there the whole time. So in the prayer, the daily prayer, blot out my transgression, create in me the right spirit. Renew the very essence of who you call me to be. Help me to see in others what they don't see in themselves. And speak from that place, not a place of judgment, not a place of condemnation, but a place of life. Where Jesus spoke to the woman that they brought to him that was caught in the act of adultery. But he spoke from the eternal place of God, the eternal place of a very being, a very existence, the place of love. He spoke from that place. Guide my words in this season, my thoughts, that I may articulate the things that I want to express, see expressed, because we are given account of everything. So we thank you that you have given us the opportunity to see and do something about it. And we don't take it lightly. So we thank you for this time, and we thank you for this gathering. We praise you, give you glory, give you honor. In Jesus' name. As I was sitting before just coming down here, I was sitting there thinking, and different thoughts come, different thoughts come. How you deal with the thoughts. And I had this particular one again. The action belongs to other people, but the reaction belongs to me. In other words, action comes from other people, but reaction comes from me. And that's in every area. And so, as we consider or call the hustle and bustle of day, you hear things, you see things, you experience things, and even though they're action and they're outside action, but yet still the reaction, when it comes to me, I can't speak for nobody else on this part, but when it comes to me, the reaction will come from me. How I respond or how I react to it. What is, and so you hear so many different things, and you have to deal with the thoughts of them, and they'll come at inconvenient times. Well, this person said this, or this person thinking this way, or this person didn't show up at this time, and why this person acting this way, or why this going on, why, just all kinds of different stuff. And I got to looking at it, it was taking my attention. So I'm responsible for the reaction of whatever it is. And many times it's not necessary that people understand what's going on. They become an instrument, just like we all are instruments. We're an instrument in the hand of God, and we can also be an instrument in the hand of the enemy. It's where we are at that time and in that plight is how we will respond. It's just like, again, when Peter said, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. He was actually operating from a higher dimension where God revealed that to him. But then if you go on down and read in that same chapter, Jesus began to tell what was about to transpire. And that same person that just said that you are the Christ, the Son of the living God, rebuked Jesus for saying what he said. Same person now. He has shifted, not realizing he has shifted from a different dimension. So it wasn't that it was a bad thing that Peter was doing, because Jesus was telling him what was about to transpire in his life. He was about to be crucified. He was about to be, given up to death because of all these things, because that was the plan of God that was enacted for his life. So when he began to do that, well, Peter didn't understand the full story. Because he didn't have insight. So only thing Peter could speak from was his natural intellect, because he done seen Jesus work miracles, he done seen Jesus do all kinds of things, but yet and still, Jesus said, it's about time for me to be crucified. He didn't use the word, but we know what he was talking about. Be handed up to men. And then Peter, again, he knew what Jesus had done for others. Now, how can this thing be? He was moving from his natural intellect, because he thought that, again, you don't miss God. Now, he's talking to the very one that he just said, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. But in the same chapter, he said, again, he rebuked Jesus for saying it. And Jesus said again, that's when he said, again, you are not mindful of the things of God. You are mindful of the things of man. So when he's talking about you are mindful of the things of man, because man don't want to go through nothing. He was telling him what he was about to experience in the natural, but because of he was mindful of the things of men, meaning the lower nature, the material world, he wasn't understanding the things of the spirit world, yet still he just got a revelation from the spirit world that you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Not knowing that this experience will fit to propel him into another dimension. So Jesus knew all these things, but Peter did. So Jesus' response or reaction to what Peter said was, again, you're not mindful of the things of God. You're mindful of the things of men. That was his reaction. He didn't rebuke Peter in so many words. We use the phrase, say, get behind me, Satan. You know what I'm saying? Satan, devil, means chief adversary. That's what it means. chief adversary. If you say God, God is the chief adversary of devil. It's opposed, meaning opposite of. But we done took it and made it so fearful and so, we had to put a tail on it, forks and horns and stuff, because we had to create a story so we can scrape fear. But again, when you look at Satan, if you look it up, in the original intent, it means chief adversary. Adverse of that. Darkness is adverse of light. So it's the chief. Sickness is adverse chief adversary of health. Poverty is the chief adversary of prosperity. So what he was speaking from was an opposing force against what God has said. So now Jesus either had to listen to the opposing force, or he would have to listen and react to what God had already said. And that was the place I was in this afternoon. I don't know who else have been dealing with it, but again, we all gonna have to deal with it. That was the title of the message that the man of God did last night at Dillon Hill. He said again, the sword will reveal the heart. And the chapter he came from in 1 Kings, where he was talking about the two women, was Solomon. That was Solomon. The two women, when they brought the two women, the sons, and we understand, we use it from a story, but it's prophetic, it's a spiritual thing that's taking place. But they brought the two women that had two sons, one died and the other was living. You know the story. And he began to say again, he said again, when they got the information from both people, both sides, he said, bring them to me. He said, now bring me a sword. Let me take the sword and divide them. And when he said that, then the real stepped up to the plate. Give it to her. And when he said that, now I know who it is. See, again, he said the sword will reveal the heart. So, many swords we go through in life, in our transformation, really reveals our heart. We really don't understand what the sword is for. Peter didn't understand what the sword was for. He took the sword and he cut the man's ear off. It revealed what he was at that moment. He didn't stay at that moment, but it revealed where he was at that moment. And once he was able to recognize where he was at that moment, he was able to move forward. But until you recognize where you are at a moment in time, you can't move forward. I can't move forward until I recognize. And so I say, I thank God that I'm one of the most prosperous person that's walking the earth right now. I'm one of the most wealthiest person that's walking the earth right now. The most blessed person that's walking the earth right now. Now you have to say that about yourself. This is my reaction to that other voice. The reason why I said that, because the Bible said the blessings of the Lord do what? Make it one rich and add no. So why would people look at what you got in substance and say you blessed? When you got people that's dibbling, dabbling, that's doing got all kind of substance, but they ain't blessed. Because they don't have no peace. They don't have no joy. They don't even know how to deal with situations and circumstances when they come. Not if they come, when they come. Because they're going to come. And so, he said the blessings of the Lord make it one rich. And it adds no sorrow. So therefore, if I get rich, that is an indication sorrow could be added. You understand? That's an indication. I can't, again, I guess it's just me tonight. I know y'all here. You understand? But I appreciate you. What I'm saying is, because if I don't recognize this, what's going to happen when it shows up again? Because it's going to show up again. I told us, I think it was last night, Sister Dora, was again, it's okay to have pats on the back. But what happened when there's nobody there to pat you on the back? You understand? So what I'm saying is, because if you depend on that and nobody's there, nobody give you the accolades, then what? If nobody show up at your party but you, could it be that maybe God may be doing something in that moment, but now you want everybody else to be around when it's just supposed to be you and God at that moment? And you wondering why? Maybe it's something I've done wrong, and then you start second guessing. You know what I'm saying? And then if you're not careful, you're looking outside of yourself, you're looking at this and you're looking at that. So when I began to look at that, I'm glad that God allowed me to come into the realization. And I started this little journey, and I journal type thing. I got this thing, and there's asked me what prompt you, because I start writing. I am, love, or I may go down that whole list. I am love. I am blessed. I am balanced. I am health. I said, you know what? When we was in school, and if you talk too much in school, why were they doing that to you? They may not even have a clue. Do you know?
It reminded me not to talk.
Huh?
It reminded me every time not to say nothing.
It reminded you not to say nothing, but it was programming you subconsciously.
Right.
So when it's time to talk,
You don't think about it before you do.
I'm doing now, because again, it was then, but when it's time to talk,
Yeah.
it's still on that burner.
That's right.
We got CDs back there, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
How many things have been burnt on that CD? Yet still, you don't see it, you just see a CD.
Right.
But it's burnt on there. So whenever you get a player, it'll play it just what you burnt when you burn it. The same way every time.
That's right.
So what is burnt in our psyche, subconscious, that plays at random times when things show up?
That's right.
Because it's burnt there. I was looking at a TikTok video. I was intending to say it, but I missed it. But this lady said, I sent my granddaughter to my mother's house, and for a week. And this how she came back. She was walking just like her. She was doing everything. You seen it? What was happening, it was programming her. We don't know, again, why you think they try to get most of our kids now at an early age, who teaching them?
That's right. That's right.
This programming them is burning in their psyche unconscious, and you don't even know. And so now we're dealing with stuff that has to, the CD that's been there has to be erased, and something else got to be rebirthed there. Remember when Jesus said he cast the spirit out and the spirit roamed? around, looking for another place to inherit, but it couldn't find nowhere, so it went back to its original place and found the place was clean and nothing was there. And the condition of that person became worse. We think these just stories that's been preached and teach. No, these are divine principles that have been given to us through stories. But it's principles. Why do you think they tell us stories? Because they know we want to see the true nature. So now I'm gonna burn it in your psyche without even you knowing it. So I got to put it before you. If I don't put it before you, it won't work. So I got to put it before you in order for it to work. So therefore, once I got it before you, and then I start the process, and you 10, 15, 20 years down the road, and you dealing with it. It didn't just start there. It started way back there. And what happens is we'll wind up trying to deal with the effects of things and never figure out what caused it. And that's what we're still doing this day, trying to deal with the effects of things. And we never deal with the cause. I told one day at the board meeting, I said, if you really want change, you got to find out what the cause.
That's right.
And one, he said, well, what is the cause? I said, I don't know. Because I can't tell you. I know, but I can't tell you. Remember Jesus said again, you can't tell, because again, it has to be revealed. But if you seek out the cause of something, it will be revealed to you, but again, you may not like to reveal it when it shows up. Some of the contract that when we had the restaurant, we're dealing with some of the effects of it now. Some of that same stuff right now. Because of the way it was handled. You know what I'm saying? It comes back around, and we, again, when we start seeing the manifestation of things, we wonder. That's why, again, God will, again, through his infinite, that's why I say I thank God I'm the most blessed person. Because he would give you information, just like David's story. Lord, blot out my transgression. Because I have transgressed against the law of God. Meaning I have transgressed against the very nature that will put me in bondage. And when I get in bondage, I wonder why I'm in bondage, because I transgressed that nature, because I start saying certain things. I'm this. I'm frustrated. I'm aggravated. I'm tired of this. I'm whatever. I transgressed the law of God because I said it. Because something outside of me was the action, and my reaction was, I'm frustrated because it ain't working the way I think it should work. Not realizing again, remember we looked up the word, Minister Tasha word, we said, look up the word, the difference between I am consciousness or I am present than Christ consciousness or Christ present. I am consciousness meaning, again, there's nothing but pure presence there. Right. The pure essence there. That's all it is. But when you bring the I am conscious involved in that, which is the I am Christ consciousness, that means you're actually putting into motion out of the invisible realm into the visible. Because Christ became the embodiment of the nature of the invisible. Everything there in the I am is invisible. Yes. But when you become the conscious and you feel the emotion of frustration, and because it's an emotion, and you feel the frustration of emotion and the anxiety and the tiredness, guess what? You're now bringing that from the invisible into your conscious place. And that's what you'll begin to reveal. And that will become your consciousness. That don't mean it's the universal consciousness, but it will become your consciousness. And if enough begin to walk in that consciousness, guess what? A whole community will begin to walk in that sense without even knowing. It's almost like they'll walk under that umbrella, won't even know what's taking place. That's why they told us, again, back in the day, where they told themselves, but it got back to us because of technology. They say the most thing you can do with the black man on the plantation is keep them in the silly mode. If they begin to think or ask questions, you give them a good whooping or send them on down the road. But don't let them stay on the plantation. Because when they start asking questions, they become a problem. But their responsibility is to stay in the silly mode. That's why we always joking about something. We got to find something to be comical about. We got to find something to entertain our ego. Because if we don't find that, we think we're not doing nothing. Because we've been conditioned that way. Not even realizing. You know what I'm saying? Not knowing, again, you don't move, you have to move with precision in this season and know what's going on. So most people don't even know this. But yet and still, they are moving and they are existing under the very I am conscious presence of God in the earth. Because again, you'll see it in a minute. Where I would look at it in Psalm 139, he said, where can you go? From his presence. So if you can't go from his presence nowhere, that must mean I'm abiding right here at this present moment in his presence. So when I begin to write those things down, what I'm doing is reprogram my declaration and my affirmation to myself, not to the universe, not to God, to myself, while I'm going through that process, is to help me not change the direction that I'm going in. Again, why would Bishop tell us years ago, again, when he was in the butter churning contest at the Dairy Festival, that he was shaking the butter. He didn't know the whole process of shaking the butter. What he did got tired. And he shifted direction. And everything that he had built up to that point, it broke it back down. And he didn't have time to start the process over again. Because he was working on a time. So those things are to remind me, as Jesus said, don't look at the appearance of things. You continue. That is to remind me. You know what I'm saying? Because if I look at other things, I'm going to shift the whole narrative. And when I shift the whole narrative, it ain't nobody's fault but mine. When I start looking out, it wasn't nobody's fault but Moses when he got frustrated with the people. Nobody's fault but Moses. You know what I'm saying? We have to get to that place that it is nobody else's fault but ours. When it comes to our personal peace. Now, if you would give it over to someone else, you gave it over to someone else. Now, if you got to have someone else in your circle to have inner peace, something is drastically wrong. Now, it would be good to enhance it with somebody else, but if you waiting on somebody else to give you to that place, something is wrong. That means your attention is somewhere else. It just needs to be reevaluated, that's all. If something is taking me to a certain place, then I need to reevaluate what's really important to me. What's really important to me? You know what I'm saying? If it take me to a place, is this taking this much peace from me? Why? Because guess what? I'll tell you, everybody, those online, y'all, if it comes to the supervisor, even to the church, I'll walk out the door first. If it take that much. Can I be honest? For real. How can you help people that don't want to be helped? You know what I'm saying? And you have to understand also, again, once a conscious presence leaves, that presence not there no more. It's gone. Then you have to deal with, remember when the Spirit of the Lord left Saul's life? A distressing spirit came up on his life. And David was the only one that was able to bring comfort during those times, but yet and still, because of the peace that he played in, it's not that he didn't walk in it, but what happened was he couldn't pass the sword test. Because the sword test came. Like I said, this is my night tonight. So I wrote a couple things down. Y'all got anything about
Anything y'all share? Got anything else?
Well, there's one thing. When you was talking about some of the things that we learned, especially in the school system, and there was a story, and I don't know what you call it, and I don't remember, but there was a story we used to read in the book. It says, Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horsemen couldn't put him back together again. And as you were saying that, it reminded me of something. It was framing something in my mind then. Whenever I fall, there's no one can put you back together again. And and with me now, it never made sense. But I kept repeating what they wanted me to say. And I said, and I never realized the story. And then when you said, you was talking about how they used to make you write stuff down and write it over. You got to write this 100 times. They were framing our minds then. But now there's a time where there's a redeeming. And God is redeeming our minds to come back into a place where that He's giving us stuff to write down. And I think I read the scripture here in Habakkuk was talking about write the vision down. Because you couldn't see the vision because it was broken, according to Humpty Dumpty. And because Humpty Dumpty, you can't put the vision together because it's all broken. And there's no king horseman, there's no government system that we're going to put you back, but we'll come and try to mend you. And you think that your dependency was upon them. But it really should have been upon the Father. But they never would teach us that. Right. So now I got into a place where I have to learn that whatever is broken, I believe that all things are possible. Simply because I believe that I can put this thing back together again. Whatever's broken in my life. Because my dependency is not upon somebody else. Because if I'm going to have peace, I got to find that within me. And I can't find it in somebody else. You may give me a smile, but when you're not around, what am I going to do? How am I going to smile then? What's the enjoyment in my life then? Because I believe now that because I am my Father's son, I can smile. Well, I was going down the road and somebody was looking, I was just smiling. I wasn't on the phone. I reckon I said, he must be happy over there. I'm in the car by myself. But if you can't find peace within you, nobody else is going to give that to you. But I tell you, it was just reminding me of that Humpty Dumpty story. And I said, that didn't make no sense at all. And I thought it then. But then when I really sat down and I realized that what you were saying, I said, why did they teach us that? They were framing us the way they wanted us to.
And see, when you look at it, you're actually casting a spell. Why do you think they used to give us nursery rhyme? Old Mary Mac, all dressed in black. What do that represent? And we sung it and we did. You understand? Exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, those are nursery rhymes. We just thought they was innocent nursery rhymes, but they was programming.
Yeah.
That's casting a, because she was saying it over and over and over again. But now all we thought was, you know, we've been taught, okay, well, that's all this other stuff is witchcraft, which you were practicing witchcraft too. Yes, they just use the same thing, the same methods. They clap at a certain time. They moan, they hum at a certain time. They did things on a rhythm. They did things on a pattern. And then you wonder why things happen simply because you was not even realizing. Because that must mean that there was a greater presence that was beyond us, that somebody else may have known that we didn't know, but they used our ability and our energy to tap and submerge us or cause us to be succumb to it. And that we walk in our enlightenment. Because now we can't go above the status that we have already set. You can't go above that. So that's why I said what I said, that I'm one of the most wealthy, because if He allowed us to see it, you understand? You can't do something about something you don't recognize. Now, if you don't do nothing about it, again, it won't be up on that God won't have revealed it to you. You understand? But we have to understand that when we're in this time of a great awakening, a great enlightenment in the earth like never before. That's why the sun got hotter, because it's burning away all these things. And we think it's something else. No, it has to happen. All the systems had to be destroyed by fire. Why you think the sun heated up? But they got us waiting on a day to come that won't never show up. But you got you waiting on that day, and you miss the moment that you're in. The time that you're in. Why would God place you in the earth and allow you to be still here at this precise time? If it's something that God didn't allow you to do, because you are still a part of the overall whole. Now, you may not think what you're doing is important, because you might be being conditioned on a certain level. But what you do is so much more important. You're either going to be an instrument, as I said, an instrument for God, or you will be an instrument for the enemy. But yet still, you're going to be an instrument. Then now he said again, last night, he said, I created the blacksmith to blow the. That means there's going to be somebody in your midst going to turn the fire up. No. You may not like them. You may not like that. But somewhere the fire going to be turned up in your midst. You know. And that's why the Bible says we wrestle not against flesh and blood. You better know that it's the blacksmith blowing the coal. Who created the blacksmith? According to Isaiah 54. He said, I created the black. to do what? Blow the coal. To make something that's... So that means there's something in you. And then he give us another story that relates to that, the potter. You know what I'm saying? He making something that's good to the... And if that potter or that pottery is not flexible to be made over again, what it does? He carried into the potter's what? Field. Y'all know this story. Y'all have been in church a while. Y'all want to talk about that because y'all, he put it in the field because that particular clay is not performing to what he want to do with it. They got what they call disposable torches or something like that. Once you don't burn the gas out, you don't use them things no more, do you? But at the time, it served its purpose because of what was in it. I'm just saying, we have to realize that we are in the very presence of God. No matter what it look like, no matter what it feel like, you have to have the fire to purify it. There has to be a balance. Anything that's off balance is not good. There has to be a balance. If you got too low blood pressure, that's not good. Too high blood pressure is not good. Too low sugar is not good. Too high. You have to have. So if everything that's going hunky-dory, we say, it's going to be off balance. And if everything going down here, it's off balance. Where do I find that balance? In the presence. Oh. Sister Carol, you got anything? Huh? I know you got some. But let's look at the word abide for a second. Abide is to continue without fading or being lost. Abide. A-B-I-D-E. Continuous without fading or being lost. That's why I said again, some things will come to take your attention. And before you know it, you're going to be faded away from the very abiding present. Live, dwell. Now look at the word dwell. Live in or at a specific place or specified place. Dwell means to stay at a specified place. Live there. To live or dwell at a specified place. And then I went on to look up the abiding presence. What really is the abiding presence? And it says it's an enduring, constant, unwavering state of being. It describes a person's feelings, spiritual concepts that remains with you permanently and does not disappear. Now, when it began to say that it dwells with a person permanently and do not disappear, do I want this anxiety to dwell with me permanently and cannot disappear? Do I want this, whatever it is, this pressure that I'm dealing with, to abide with me? Because I'm talking about abiding presence. This is a presence, it's a state of being. Do I want this? Because if I'm in the presence of anxiety, that's going to become my state of being. If I stay in a protracted place for a protracted period of time, that's going to become my state of being. And there's no way that I can lift myself out of it. And I won't even realize it. Because I have stayed at that place for a protracted period of time. So if I stay at that place for a protracted period of time, that means there's a greater unseen force at work that will solidify that place and say that's where you really want to be. Without even realizing. And then I wonder why I can't come out of this place simply because I unconsciously accepted this place. Without even realizing. Unconsciously. What places have we accepted unconsciously without even realizing? Just thoughts. It was one of them solid moments to give you time to think for a moment. I know a lot of times you can't recall it, but somewhere we done thought about something for a protracted period of time. Yeah. It's something that happened in my life 20 years ago. Keep coming up, and it's 20 years later. And it's giving me the same pain. That means I don't abide there, and it became my abiding presence. Without even realizing. But how do I get out of this place? How do I move forward? Because there has to be a greater presence. Go back to Apostle Clayton said, in order to change the direction of a wind, there has to be a stronger wind. In order to change the direction of that presence that's now abiding in you, there has to be a greater presence that you have to stay in the presence of long enough that will change the direction of everything around you. Jesus had to be in such an abiding presence that he can come in the middle of a storm, in the middle of the night, walking. Had to be glowing because they had to see him. Radiating. No fear nowhere. Because he remained in the abiding presence of a greater presence. How do I get there and remain there? I have to first become aware that it's possible, that it's there, that I'm always in it. You know what I'm saying? If I keep saying, well, God, someday you're going to bless me with this, someday you're going to do this for me, someday you're going to do that. Well, that someday may not never come. That's right. Because until you come into the realization of the now moment, it begins to open you up then. Because you have it then. You don't wait till you see physical manifestation. You are there then. And when you're there, then you'll start seeing the physical. Oh, I thank you, Father, for that. Okay, I'm going on. And then other things just start flowing. Those things are not important. You know what I'm saying? You enjoy them, they enhance your life and your very being, but they ain't important because the greater one that lives inside of you is the one that causing these things to happen. And I'm just so joy and elated to be just in his presence. Abide means to remain, to stay, to a continuous, and to be present and not to disappear when things become difficult. When things become difficult. Now, let me share what let me bring context to what I said earlier. Just because if I walk out those doors now, I'm still going to be in this abiding presence. I'm not leaving his presence. That's right. You understand? I'm not disappearing. I'm remaining in his presence. So whatever that will challenge the presence, that is not more important than his presence. Moses said it like this: if you don't go, your presence don't go with him. Because your presence to be, you know what I'm saying, conscious of your presence. That's what it is, to be conscious of your presence. Because I cannot be conscious of his presence when I'm dealing with all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Again, you have to make a conscious decision. When that young man was an older man, but it was a young man that made that statement on the Capitol steps, 30 years in military, was a major in military, knew the potential, what could happen to him. He can be stripped of his rank. He can be stripped of everything, his pension, everything. Could be even arrested, in which he did experience those things. But yet and still, for him to stand and protest in full uniform and make a statement like he said and did, that he was saying something else is more greater than just saying I got a name and a title. My church and my family is more important than for me to bring pressure to them. Can I be just honest, open? So the abiding presence. Look at John 15, verse number 4 and 5. Where Jesus said, abide in me. Now, again, this is in red, and we know according to the scriptures, and we take it in literary form. Where he said, abide in me. How can you abide in a physical man? How can you abide? You have to ask yourself these questions. He said, abide in me. And then what? And I in you.
Abide in me, and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, unless it abides in the vine, neither can you, unless you abide in me.
So, if you're not abiding in that presence, you're not going to bring forth the fruit. And again, it starts talking about the fruit, which is peace, love, all these other things. Ain't that money? You cannot provide it except you abide in him. It said, do what? Well, the first word said, if. Well, now it goes down later and said, if. And then it goes on, verse 5 said, I am the vine, you are what? The branches. He who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit. For without me you can do nothing. But then verse 6 said, if anyone does what? Does not abide in me, he is what? As a branch, and is what?
Withered.
And they gather them and throw them into the fire, and they are burned. And most times we don't draw up the concept that this burning somebody in hell. No, you're gonna be out there all by yourself, wondering why you feeling the scorched heat of the earth. Because you're not abiding. You're abiding in something, but you're not abiding in him. What are you abiding in? Now again, I'm just saying, what are we abiding in? My goal has to be in him. And then when I looked at the word, I said, okay, let me look up the word if. We like to, Because it's an if. If is a what? Conjunction. That means something is tied to it. It introduced again a conditional clause on the condition of supposition that the event of. Meaning, if you do this, this will happen. If you don't do this, that's based upon the individual. This has nothing to do with God. This has nothing to do with the devil. This has nothing to do with nobody else. If you abide in me, if you abide in the same consciousness that I am in. Again, did not Paul go on and say in the New Testament on down where he said, let this mind be in you, which was in Christ Jesus. So therefore, that means you have to have the same conscious mind that he walked in order to operate and experience the peace. Now, like I said, we can give some false sense of hope and stuff like that. It'll work for a season. But again, it's just like anything else. When you cut it from the vine, it's going to look green for a season. And then after a while, it withers. How many did you know, especially when you was young and immature, you looked for the next fad and fashion? How many? Just be honest. Okay? Don't you think they're doing the same thing now? They're looking for the next fad and fashion. This seems like the hot thing right now. Let me go over there today. Well, guess what? That's going to run out. And now I got to look for the next fad, and then I'm going to find that place. And then I'm going to look for the next fad, and then I'm going to find that place. And then I'm going to look for the next, and then I'm going to find that place. Until I done ran out, I ain't got nowhere to go. Now, I got to really meet the real me. He'll let you run till you get tired, but you still got to meet the real you. When you could have just stopped and just really met the real you. That's just like anything else around here. Again, if you're going to put something of entertainment world where it's a nice restaurant, where it's a skating ring or something, you have to go outside of Tyler Town to get your clientele in your business. You can't get your business in Tyler Town. They're not going to be the one to support you. That's why, again, we travel outside of Tyler Town. I see the same people. I'm going somewhere else. Where there's somebody else there, I'm going over there. They got a nice place in Tyler Town. I'm going to Tyler Town. Because they're looking for something outside of it. It's just like, again, you go to any tourist state. That's what they call them, tourist state. The people inside the state, most of the time, ain't went to. A lot of people in Orlando ain't been to Disney World. You understand? They don't. Wherever you go. Again, down there in San Antonio, when we went down there to visit, we went down there to, what you call that? Alamo. It was something else they called down there. Riverwalk. Half of the families that stayed down there 3 or 4 years, they had never been. 20 years, they had never been to the Riverwalk. But they knew it was there. But they stayed within this circle. And they travel from point A to point B. So again, you have to understand what's going on. So people are not going to really support it. It'll be outside people. Oh no, that's just like when we had the Heaven's Delight. Y'all need open on Sundays. You going to be able to support us every time? You may come once a month, once every 3 months, but that's not going to keep the doors open. You need a consistent flow to come. That's just like people say, again, are you going to run again for 2 hours? I said, we'll see. Well, you need to run. Well, you ain't the one that's spending the energy.
That's right.
You understand? You ain't the one getting the flat. And And it takes energy. Do you want to expend that much energy? Can we just be honest? Because it looked good on the surface. But what the energy that you have to expend for it. Okay, another scripture. Psalm 91, then we're going to get ready to close out. Then we'll go to Psalm 139. If God allowed you to go on a sabbatical for a season, the people that depended on you, what would happen? I'm just asking a question. It's almost like God allowed Pray Loud to go on a sabbatical. And the people that depended on him, I'm talking people depending on. I'm talking about day in and day out, 24 hours. It was 24 hours there, but it ain't been on by over 2 months now. I'm saying it ain't been on over 2 months. And the people that was depending on Pray Live Ministry, half of the people lost. I know several people that called me. One called me from California. They had my number. They called, I said, I don't know, I hadn't heard. You know what I'm saying? But they're not on the line. But again, that's why I said, it started out, they did it, it started in 2005, and we became a part of it, I think, around 2007 or a little before then. And we've been a part of Pray Live Ministry for that period of time. But when that time run its course, especially when God gives you opportunity to revamp something and you don't revamp it, then there comes a time when it goes through a revamping on its own that you don't have no control over. When God told us when I say God, I'm not talking about no God outside of it. It's something in your spirit that you need to do. I ain't talking about for everybody else, I'm talking about for you. To work on, do something. And you prolong it. Then all of a sudden, it's set up where you don't have no other choice. The head of Psalm 91 said, the safety of abiding in the presence of God. It said, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High. This is a position. This is a realm. This is a very consciousness that the presence of God exists right here. Because where you can go, now you can probably go and again find you a room somewhere or go in the mountains somewhere or whatever that you feel, a secluded place that you feel, but yet still whatever you feel that's your place, that's your place. But I can come right here on sometime on Tuesday night and just sit in his presence when we do and just feel his presence because I'm acknowledging his presence. I can come in the middle of the day and I can come down and sit down and I begin to acknowledge his presence. Guess what? It starts showing up. Or I can be in my car and I begin to acknowledge his presence. And it shows. I can go to the boardroom. I sit in there and I just acknowledge his presence. His presence is there. Sit on the porch. I begin to acknowledge his presence. His presence is there. I go to the funeral. I begin to acknowledge his presence. His presence is there. I go to the cemetery. I acknowledge his presence. His presence is there. And I feel that same peace wherever I go. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to come to the physical building. This is a place where, again, that has been institutionalized and set up where we can get an understanding that we are the individual, we are the church, and the presence of God dwells in us. And that we can move at will, and the more we move at will, guess what? It just becomes, when you begin to speak something, You just become conscious God's presence is here. I am. It's here. Now what you want to create with this I am is upon you. And then he said again, shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is. Then that where the saying comes. Once you acknowledge His presence, once you dwell there, now I'm going to say something. I'm going to say of the Lord, He is my and my fortress. In whom, my God, I will. I'm trusting in this place. I ain't asking for nothing right now, but I'm trusting in this place. Because my heart is here, and He knows what's on my heart. And when I come in that place, as often as I come into that place, there's going to be a fragrance when I come out of that place and enter into other realms that I have to deal with on a day-to-day operation. There's going to be a fragrance that comes with it. There will be ideas, there's going to be wisdom that will show up. The more I become conscious of it, the more you become conscious of it, the abiding presence of God, the more you're going to begin to see things change. People will be wondering why you ain't dealing with this, why you allowing this to happen. Because it has to happen. It must happen. Because guess what? Something has to happen in order for a shift and change also in other individuals. Now it will be up to them to recognize it. But if they don't recognize it, you've been a mental part. So anything else? I write at 3 o'clock in the week, Psalm 91. We start time in at 1:39. But again, anybody have anything? Do you not know, even when you go to sleep at night, you're going to sleep in the very presence of God? You're in a restful, peaceful state. You wake up in the morning, you're in His presence. You wake up in the middle of the night, go to the restroom, you're in His presence. How you can imagine that every time I come, I'm actually in His presence. What you're doing, you're reprogramming your subconscious with your conscious. And once you reprogram your subconscious with your conscious, guess what? You start walking like Jesus. And when Jesus did things, they thought it was a miracle. It was miraculous. It wasn't miraculous to them because they ain't seen it happen. It wasn't miraculous to Jesus. That was His everyday life. That was who He was. That's who I am. That's who you are. Whatever you're conscious of, that's who you are. Don't get mad with yourself. Don't beat yourself up. That's just what you are. You always have room to grow. You always have room to transform. You always have room to move forward. Don't wait for somebody else to do it, because they cannot do it for you. They can encourage you, but you still got to go through the fight for the transformation to take place. That's my responsibility, to be in that place where I can be transformed from glory to glory, from faith to faith, from victory to victory. That's why, again, that's what He said, transform. Go from faith to faith. That means there's going to be different levels of transformation. And each level get a little more difficult than the first level.